9 signs you have an abandonment wound. Hey guys, I'm Laura, and in this video, I want to talk to you about the abandonment wound and what we can do to heal it. So firstly, we have to acknowledge that there are actually 2 types of abandonment. There is physical abandonment and emotional abandonment. So some of us may have one or the other, or some of us may have both. For me, I have both. So I was physically and emotionally abandoned by my dad, and I was emotionally abandoned by my mum. But both of my parents have their own abandonment wounds as well. So in a way, it becomes sort of like a learnt behaviour and a cycle that gets passed down. And I actually think that there's probably a lot of emotional abandonment wounds that people don't actually realise that goes on in our society, because you kind of think about what the era was like when our parents and our grandparents grew up in. There was a lot of emotional abandonment. There was a lot of the comments of "Oh, stop you crying, I'll give you something to cry about." Like that's a form of emotional abandonment. Or, comments like, "Oh, you'll get over it." Like dismissing your feelings like they don't really matter. All of that is emotional abandonment. And that happened a lot to our parents and our grandparents back in the day as well. So I feel like, again, it's a learned behaviour that cycles down to us. And I think, there's a lot of people out here that actually have emotional abandonment wounds and they don't even realise it. So let's get into 9 signs that you have an emotional or physical abandonment wound. So firstly, the people you attract are quick to leave. Number 2, the partners you attract are emotionally unavailable. 3, you tend to be the fixer in the relationship. 4, you become easily attached and codependent. 5, you feel unworthy of receiving love. 6, you don't feel safe in the body. 7, you become a people pleaser because you don't want to be rejected. 8, you think everyone good you meet will leave you. And 9, you fear being alone, so you force relationships to work. So if any of these are going on with you, then you most likely have an abandonment wound, and we need to give that some attention. So the ways we can heal our abandonment wound is, number 1, I just took my notes. Number 1, you need to acknowledge that you have an abandonment wound and develop some self-awareness around it. So it's like some self-awareness is like this sort of stuff. If this is going on for you, so you can now acknowledge, okay, I've got an abandonment wound, and this is a self-awareness around your abandonment wound, whatever's going on in your life around these types of things. So that's number 1. Number 2 was, okay, so this is real important. So this goes to, you become a people pleaser because you don't want to be rejected. So generally with empaths, so if you're an empath, that stems from the abandonment wound. And as an empath, it's like something happens in our childhood that causes us to leave the bottom 3 chakras, and you come up into the 3rd eye chakra where you're tuning in to everyone around you. That's what makes you an empath, is where you're tuning in and you're absorbing what everyone else around you is feeling. So what you're doing is you need to stop abandoning the self, and because what's happening is people pleasers, which stems from the empath abandonment wound side of it. What you're doing is you're trying to please other people to get love and validation in return. So people pleasing actually stems from parent pleasing. So it's like you're a kid, you might not be getting the attention, the love, the validation from your parents that you should be getting. So you're trying to be a certain way to get that approval from your parents. And then as you grow up, you start doing that with just people in your life in general. You start people pleasing to get that love and validation that you didn't feel that you had as a kid, and because you haven't learned to give yourself that love and validation. So what you need to stop doing is you need to stop putting others first, stop people pleasing, and stop abandoning yourself. So here's an example. Like, let's say you had your day planned out, like, okay, I want to get this and this done today. A friend turns up at your house and they're like, hey, I need some help with this thing over here, can you help me? Now, a people pleaser type would be the type that would go, yeah, sure, I'll help you, because and as you're like helping this person with their stuff, you've just completely abandoned your day and the plans that you had that you wanted to do. So you need to stop abandoning the self. You need to come back to ask yourself these 3 questions. What do I want, need, and feel? And it's not actually being selfish to do this. Like, it might feel like you're being selfish. What do I want? But at the end of the day, you can't abandon yourself to please others. You have to put yourself first. Kind of think of it like an analogy would be like when you're on an airplane and when those oxygen masks come down, you have to put your own one on first before you can help anyone else. You can't just be like, abandon the self, oh, don't worry about me, and then go and help others, because then you don't have your oxygen. You're not going to be any good helping others anyways, right? So you think of it like that analogy. You've got to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help others or do anything for others. You can't abandon the self. So stop doing that, and to help stop doing that, you need to ask yourself, what do I want, need, or feel? So if someone asks you, hey, can you help me? And you already have plans for today, you need to ask yourself these questions. Well, do I really want to be helping this person? Or what do I need? Well, I kind of need to get my things done this today that I've already planned out. You know what I mean? Ask yourself those questions and stop abandoning the self. Now, number 3 is you need to let go of the fear of being alone. So, which is also like learning to be independent. So a lot of people that have abandonment wounds, especially the empaths, are codependent type people. That we spoke about it here. You become easily attached and codependent. So it's about learning to become more independent, but also learning to be okay on your own. Like just be okay with that. So whenever you're like, say you're in a relationship with someone and they might not be treating you the right way, they might have toxic behavior, but you have a fear of abandonment and you don't want this person to leave you, or you don't want the relationship to break up. But if you don't have a fear of being on your own, then whenever you're in a relationship with someone and they're treating you wrong, you have that within you to go, actually, I don't want to be in this relationship, and you can pack your bags and leave knowing that you're okay on your own. Because a lot of the time you have that fear of rejection, or that fear that that person is going to leave you, and you'll do whatever you can to keep them there, because it's like it's a fear of abandonment. So it's like you're going to do whatever you can to keep this person here because you don't want to be on your own. You've got that fear of abandonment there. But when you're doing that, that's when the other person, because people pick up on your energy, that's when the other person, it's almost like it gives their ego a wee boost when they know that you don't want them to leave no matter how they treat you, type of thing. It's like an ego boost, and then it's almost like they start treating you worse and have less respect for you because of it. So really work on that, the whole being okay, being on your own, not needing to be codependent, not needing to be in a relationship. Like some people I know just jump from relationship to relationship to relationship, and they don't have that break in between. And in my opinion, I think that's unhealthy. I think it's better to have some space between people to heal from that original relationship and learn the lessons that needed to be learned or whatever before you move on to someone else. So again, people jump because of the fear of being alone. So really work on that with yourself and just learn to be okay being on your own. I'm on my own. I'm independent. I have attracted in toxic relationships, and I get, I have no issue of getting rid of them and just doing me. So, I highly recommend just working on that one. And number 4, Okay, so you've got to learn to be more grounded in the body. So, like I said before, we escape the bottom chakras and we're coming up in here and we're tuning into everyone around us, their feelings, their energy, and you know, that's where the people pleasing is, because it's like a safety mechanism type thing. You're like, if you can please the people around you, then it'll make you happy, kind of situation. But what we actually need to do is we need to stop doing that. We need to stop tuning in and abandoning the self and putting others first. So what we need to do is we need to get out of the third eye chakra back into the body. You want to be grounded in the body. There's a meditation you can do. It's a candle. It's called the frame technique. I learned it from my spiritual mentor, who learned it from his shadow integration coach. And it's just staring at a candle flame. And when you breathe in, you put the awareness in your body, your hands and your feet, and then you breathe out, and you can stare at the candle flame and do this for about 5 or 10 minutes. And every time you're breathing in, just put the awareness in your body. And what that's going to do is it'll get you to shift from here back grounded in the body. It will also have you be more present in the moment, and you will also put off a different type of energy. So we have our auras around us, right? The energy we're putting off, people pick up on it. So for example, if you've got a needy energy, people pick up on that and it drives them away. But when you're becoming more grounded in the body, more present in the moment, it actually makes your energy magnetic, and more people will be drawn into you. So that's also another way of like not abandoning the self. You're being grounded in the body and more present in the moment, and then also you're because you're in the body. When you ask yourself these questions, what do I want, need, or feel, you're more tuned in to yourself because you're in the body with your heart, you know, rather than being on your head and being all like, oh, I want to please everyone. So it's just overall better to be more grounded in your body, and that's another way of healing the abandonment wound. And then number 5 is we need to give our inner child attention. So our inner child is always with us, is always a part of us, and people tend to ignore it or forget about it. You know, you grow up, you become an adult, you get so caught up in the adult world and working and all that you just completely forget about your inner child. So your inner child's still a part of you, and you need to connect with your inner child and reassure him or her of their worth. You know, give them that attention and reassure him or her of their self-worth. Because, you know, a lot of if you've got abandonment wounds, you're going to most likely not have a lot of self-worth, not feel like you're good enough. You're going to have a fear of rejection, all that sort of stuff. So you need to give that inner child of yours some attention. And number 6 is you can write a letter. Write a letter just to get how you're feeling out, like your anger, your sadness, like resentment, like anything that's going on around the abandonment wound, or around how you were treated as a child. Write a letter and just get it out of your system. And so these are different types of ways that you can heal the abandonment wound. I always also recommend meditation as well, because meditation just helps you become more connected to your soul self and more calmer. And like, I feel like when you're more connected and more calmer and more grounded in the body, in a way, it's like when someone asks you, hey, can you come and help me with this? Like, I've had this habit where I react before even, like, I react instead of responding. So I will, someone says to me, oh, hey, can you help me with this? And I'll be like, oh, yeah. And I react without even actually thinking about it. Shit, do I actually want to, what do I want, need, or feel? I don't really slow down, or I wouldn't really slow down and ask these questions. I just react instead of responding to people. So you've got to learn to go from out of reacting to responding. And that way you can have, when you respond, it's like you have the choice, and you have that time to ask yourself, what do I want, need, or feel? Do I want to help this person, or am I busy with my own stuff? And another way you can learn to get out of reactive mode and into responsive mode is another candle meditation, where you just stare at the candle flame and observe your thoughts. So you don't try to control your thoughts and be like, oh, I don't want to have any negative thoughts, I only want positive thoughts, and you're trying to control it. That's not what you want to be doing. What you want to do is just observe your thoughts as if you're sitting on a park bench and they're just going past, you know, and just observing what's coming up and what's going, what's coming up, what's going. So that's going to start training you. Like, you do this every day. It's like, you got to think of it like when you're in the gym. Consistency is key to get the results. You got to do it every day. But what it's going to start getting you to do is have more self-awareness around what's going, like what your thought patterns are, and it'll teach you to it'll teach you to get out of the reactive mode and more into responsive mode. So when you're in that responsive mode, then you can think better about whether or not you want to be helping other people with their things. Because I'm not saying you can't help people. That's not what I'm saying. Like, of course you can help people if you want to, but you got to ask yourself, what do I want, need, or feel? You know what I mean? Like, if you have a free day and you've got no plans for the day and a friend's wanting some help, then, you know, if you're not, as long as you're not abandoning yourself and your stuff, then of course you can go help that person. So yeah, it's a balance as well though, like, because a lot of us empaths with our abandonment wounds tend to always be abandoning ourselves to please the other, and you know, we just got to stop doing that. So yeah, and I definitely recommend that, like the candle meditations as well. It'll make, if you do it, both of them, like the frame technique and the one where you're just watching your thoughts, they will both make a difference. If you're doing it every day, you'll notice a shift in yourself and your energy as a person, and you will learn to become more responsive and more aware of what your thoughts are and everything like that. So yeah, it comes down to just really not abandoning yourself anymore. So that's it for today, guys. I hope this was informative for you, and because I didn't actually have any idea that there was like 2 types of abandonment wounds, and I realized that I had epiphanies where I had like multiple abandonment wounds. So like, even when I was a teenager, late teens, I got kicked out of home, being someone with anger issues and a bad attitude, and being kicked out of home, like, even that's a form of abandonment, especially when I was having a hard time in life. But at the same time, it made me who I am, so I don't hate on that situation. But it's just like another example of how we have abandonment wounds. Like, there's different types, and yeah, so most people don't really have that awareness about themselves. So yeah, I highly recommend to start looking at yourself, whether or not you have an abandonment wound, and start working with it to heal it, and you'll become a happier person and more stable person. Work on your self-love and self-worth as well. Like, that's another key thing that a lot of us with our childhood wounds don't have, and it's important that we do work on that stuff for ourselves too. So yeah, I hope you like this video. Feel free to like, comment, share if you want to. Yeah, and just good luck with working on that. So have a good day, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.